Do you want to quickly learn how to record and practice guitar along with Ableton Live? Well, then this beginner lesson is for you. I've been using Ableton Live since 2015 and it's absolutely made my guitar practice more fun, more enjoyable, more diverse, and best of all, made me a much better guitar player. Let's jump into the lesson. In this video, we will only be using the session view screen. This is the easiest to use for making jam tracks and practicing the guitar. We have two MIDI tracks, MIDI track number 1, MIDI track number 2, and then we have two audio tracks, 3 and 4. Now, the first thing that you're gonna do when you're recording audio is you wanna make sure that you're recording audio to either a click track or to a drum loop. The way that you turn the metronome on is you go up in the top left corner, and what you'll do is you'll click the gray circle, darken circle. And that's going to give you the metronome at whatever tempo you have set. Now by default in the top left corner, you've got 120 beats per minute. I'm going to go ahead and slow that down to 80 beats today. And if I click the space bar now, I've got my click track. Now, my recommendation is to always record to drums rather than a click. It's just so much more fun. So what we can do is we can turn off the metronome here, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go over to the left side of the screen, I'm gonna click on drums, and then I'm gonna look for the drum set called either dry session or session dry. Here it is under dry session. All right, I'm just gonna drag that over into MIDI track 1. And now what I'll do is I will double click in this first empty row here, and it brings up the MIDI editor. Now I can go ahead and stretch this, and right now I'm looking at 1 bar. And what I'll do is just make a really quick drum groove. I'm just going kick, snare, and then I'll go ahead and choose these closed hi-hats on the 8th notes. This is way more enjoyable to play along with than a click is. Now, when I actually want to play that loop, I'll go up and I'll trigger it by clicking the play head right on this rectangle that I just created. Nice and groovy. So I highly recommend that you always record to drums rather than a click track, but if you have to, just record to the click and never start a track without some kind of rhythmic help of a click track or a drummer. If you start to record without some kind of rhythmic guide, your track is going to sound bad. 100% guaranteed. All right, tip number 2, make sure you're ready to record. And the way that you're gonna do that is you're gonna go up right beside where we click the metronome, there is a small little down arrow. And what we'll do here is we want to have a count in so that when we click the record button, we have time to prep ourselves in order to get ready to record. All right, so you can choose 1 bar, 2 bars, or 4 bars. This isn't too fast today, so I'm gonna go ahead and choose 1 bar, but you can choose at your own discretion. Let's say you've been learning a song and you aren't sure what the tempo is, but you wanna try and record the chords to this song. What you can do is you actually can go up in the top left corner, and where it says tap, you can use your mouse to click the tap button along with the song or just the song in your head and try and find that accurate tempo. So let's say the song is like doom, da, boom, boom, gat, doom, doom. I'll tap, and I'm tap, tap, tap. And the cool thing is that Ableton will actually match that speed with you. Now, I highly recommend that once you get kind of the general vicinity, you can see that this is around 108. I would go ahead and even that out to an exact 108 or 109, whichever one it's closer. Now I'm gonna go ahead back to 80. And there we go, we have our nice slow grooving drum beat. So online there are many great tracks available that you can buy, purchase like different amazing drummers. I recently purchased one from Yurt Rock, Clyde Stubblefield, the great drummer that played with James Brown, amazing. And what you can do is you can actually import these drums and drop them into your Ableton and play along with them. It's a great way to practice. Let me quickly show you how you might import drums or any other audio into Ableton. So what you'll do is you'll find where your drums are located. I have a whole bunch of them. So let's say I just want to use the one that just popped up here. It's an 80 beat per minute groove. I'm just gonna drag it in. I'm on Mac, so I just drag it in, or you could copy and paste it if you're on PC. And so these pre-recorded drums are an audio file. So you wanna make sure that you put it into either column 3 or column 4. Then what I do is I double click on it to make sure that the tempo is matched. And right now, actually, Ableton thinks that the tempo is double the speed of the loop. So I'll go ahead and click warp, warp. I'm going to change that to 80. And then you'll notice Ableton shrunk it. And so I'll actually drag these two triangles over here to make sure that the loop is the correct length. Otherwise, we'll have all this empty space. Now, once that's feeling good, I'll turn the volume down just a touch because these loops are loud a lot of times. I'm going to click the playhead up here in track number 3. Aha, and Ableton in the top left corner still thinks it's 160. Type in 80, and there we are. I'm raising that volume here on this fader. And there we go. A grooving 80 beat per minute groove by a great drummer. Now, if I want that to keep going, I'll make sure that this loop function is clicked. And if you want to see this waveform window, you got to make sure that you're clicked up over here on where it says the name and the title of the track. All right, now that we have these great drums in here, let's go ahead and jump in and we'll do a quick recording. I'll show you how I record guitar. Now I have my guitar plugged in into an amplifier, and the amplifier is mic'd up in the other room. I have a fancy recording situation, but you could do this if you're playing with your guitar directly plugged into your interface. Anything works. So what you want to do is in this empty audio channel, what you want to do is make sure that it's armed right here, and then that your input is correct. And then remember, we set to where we have a nice little count-in. We have a 1-bar count-in. So all I have to do is in this first row here, I'm just going to click this little record circle, and I'm going to put whatever I want in there. All right, so I'm going to just go ahead and make some simple chords. How about C, G, A minor, F? Here we go. Count in, and then we'll be playing. 2, 3, 4. I always keep my finger close by the space bar because that is a good friend to have. The space bar is your start and your stop. Now, the longer you make the loop, the less loopy it sounds. So feel free to record your progression more. So now that we have a basic chord progression here, I don't have any more audio tracks, so what I need to do is hit Command T, or I could go up into the Create menu here and insert audio track. So now I have the option to put another guitar part, or maybe even a bass part. So I'll just go ahead and arm this track, make sure it's on input 7, which is where my guitar is living, and I'll just record like a higher guitar part using the same chords. Let's check it out. 2, 3, 4. All right, space bar at the end there. All right, it's grooving. It sounded pretty good. I could definitely practice along with that and have a good time. Now, one last amazing little secret tip. You can get a great bass sound by taking your guitar, putting on the neck pickup, roll off a little bit of tone. You're going to palm mute. What you're going to do is create a new track, and I'm going to go ahead and hit this record arm button. I'm going to go to input 7. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to play the bass notes. Very straightforward, very simple. But check out how awesome this is. 2, 3, 4. One more time. All right. So right now it's going to sound like a guitar. I'll solo it. But if I double click and see, I can see the audio here. All I'll do right here is grab that pitch. I'm going to click, and just so it's easy, I'm going to put in -12. I just dropped it down an octave. And now it's going to sound like a bass. Not too bad for a guitar. Now, especially when you hear it in the mix, it'll be perfect. And you got yourself a track. Now that you've learned these 5 essential tips in Ableton Live, click this video next to immediately improve your guitar soloing.